Hi guys, welcome to the video. So today I'm gonna talk about how I entered into the hobby of Pokemon TCG. And honestly, I'm really new to this hobby. I just entered into the hobby for just a month, maybe just bring it up. So really new. And as I enter into the hobby, I watch a lot of videos. I see a lot of people complaining about the rising costs of Pokemon trading cards, especially if they've been they've played Pokemon cards long ago, like about 10 years, maybe 20 years ago. So they are harping on how it's getting more and more expensive. Example, let me do a quick like a Google search. Okay. Let me get my head out of the way. So Pokemon TCG rising costs or something along the lines, right? Pokemon cards, Sky Rising, something like that, like or rising cost of Pokemon TCG, for example. If I just Google for that, then sometimes you will see, yeah, so Reddit threads and stuff like that, and people are like harping on about like how expensive the hobby has become, probably due to things like Pokemon card scalpers, people who are into the trading, like into the collection hobby, but they have been scalping like the booster boxes, the packs, and then reselling them for higher prices because of the higher demand. So it has made much more much more expensive for kids to enter into the hobby. Like they are damaging the hobby, they are destroying the hobby for kids, and so on and so forth. So I mean, I myself as an adult, yes, I could afford that. But the more I explore alternatives, the more I find that this is actually not true. Actually, because of the collectors, there are actually good options if you want to like get into the Pokemon TCG playing hobby for cheap. Not the collection part. Collection part, obviously, if you're looking for the hits, you're ripping packs, it's gonna be expensive. But if you're just here to enjoy the game, like to play, even enter tournaments with your decks and so on, actually is not as expensive as you would think. So one good example would be Carousell, right? So Carousell is obviously in Singapore. Carousell is online marketplace for you to sell your secondhand stuff, and actually a lot of people sell their secondhand like used not say used, pre-owned Pokemon cards here. Like if you want to look for collection items, like there's a specific chase card you're looking for, you can actually find it like sometimes maybe even cheaper on Carousell than if you go to a card vendor or card shows. Of course, card vendor shows are really good. We'll talk about that later. So what are the ways to get into Pokemon TCG playing on a budget? So one way is for League Battle decks. So let me search for this. Pokemon League Battle decks. Okay, so I only found out about League Battle decks when I visited like TCG, like card shops. That means those, for example, there's one that I visited with my wife at Scape at the Orchard. It's one of the latest one, the big Pokemon gym. And then inside, they have stocked various Pokemon TCG products, and one of those are these League Battle decks. So I bought one for myself. I believe I bought a Team Rocket League Battle deck, which is actually considered one of the more advanced one. So I bought it at a much higher price than what you see here on Carousell. I bought it for around $50, but you can get it from Carousell resellers for about 42, right? That's pretty cheap. And if you're not into the Team Rocket vibe, you can go for even cheaper battle decks, like this Mega DNC battle deck, which I believe should be quite competitive actually, for as low as 28 Singapore dollars. There's this Kangaskhan EX. Of course, it's the older Kangaskhan decks. It's not the latest version of the Mega Kangaskhan EX, but still it is a viable deck, right? And you can see that there are levels 1, 2 Pokeballs, level 2, and the Team Rocket deck I believe should be 3 Pokeballs, which is level 3 in terms of complexity and difficulty. So if you're buying for a kid, let's say you want your maybe your nephew, your niece, or maybe your son or daughter to start out in Pokemon League Battle, and you don't want to spend like hundreds of dollars ripping packs for them to build a deck, just start out like this. As simple as a $28 investment. Go and search on Carousell for Pokemon League Battle decks and buy from one of these resellers, right? Meet them up. talk to them about how they get such a good deal. But even if you don't go to Carousell, you can also go to TCG shops. You can also shop online. So this is in Shopee. Maybe I'll just reduce my head a little bit. In Shopee, you can search for Pokemon TCG League Battle decks. You can get them for decent price. Obviously not as cheap as you were to hunt for them on Carousell. You can see that some people are selling pretty expensive. Yeah, pretty expensively. And make sure to filter for Singapore actually. Let me try and filter. Yeah, ship from Singapore, so that, yeah, but some of these are, yeah, kind of expensive. So I would say Carousell is your best bet. So that's one. Other than that, if you're trying to build your decks, and League Battle decks will give you like 60 cards, right? And you don't have any additional cards other than that, so you don't have options. But if you're trying to build your deck, that means you are trying to build some meta decks that are for competitive tournaments, or you just want to play a variety of different Pokemon decks with your own like customizations. I would say go look for Pokemon Janks. So if you search for Pokemon TCG Janks, right, on Carousell, or bulk Janks or bulk, BULK. So Pokemon TCG Janks or bulk, you can actually see that people are mass selling that their Pokemon, like the non-collector cards. You can see here Japanese cards. For me, I'm looking for English cards because I'm hoping to enter into some local tournaments, and I heard from the other local players that only English cards are allowed. You cannot bring Japanese cards into Singapore Pokemon TCG tournaments. So I look for like English ones. So this one is one to trade. If, for example, like Ian Pokemon Janks with Hollows, we can take a look at it. I could also like show you some of the people that I've bought from. Let me try and see. So example, let me try and, yeah, I think this one, this shop, I've actually bought some, which are for really cheap. Yep, for example, Pokemon Playables, TCG Playables. Let's see his listing. Is it gone? Pokemon TCG card Playables. Yeah. So let me close this. Yep. Nope. What's this? Pokemon Playables. Yeah. Tournament winning decks, bulk Janks. Yeah. So he's selling for code cards. So yeah, 800 cards. So this SV means Scarlet Violet, I guess. So Scarlet Violet non-holo Janks, 800 cards for as low as 10 Singapore dollars. It is a massively cheap deal, right? And you can do meetups, you can do mailing. If you're a busy working adult, you can't have time to meet up the sellers, you can do mailing. It generally costs about like another additional $3.50. If 1,000 cards is too much, you can go for as low as 300 cards for $5. It's pretty, yeah, it's really affordable. Like $5 is barely the price of one single like Pokemon Mega EX card, like the common EX ones, not the ultra, not the illustrated rare or the and so on. So for the cost of a single card, you can buy like 300 cards, and with 300 cards, there's bound to be a lot of trainer cards in it. You can actually use those trainer cards to build up your deck, because trainer cards are actually the more important one in building a playable TCG deck. Then other than that, well, what else can we go for? So Janks, these are the obvious one, Janks. If you want to look for like selected playable cards, let me go back to that. So Pokemon TCG Playables, right? Just Google search for Playables on Carousell, and I think this is the same. Yep. So things like this. So there are people who are selling all these Playables. That means they're selling like trainer cards like Ultra Ball, Lily's Determination. So these are all cards you essentially need to build like a somewhat competitive TCG deck for Pokemon. And the reason why these decks or these Janks or bulk are so cheap is precisely because of the collection hobby. So people are ripping these packs looking for their SIR, AR, like art rares, their special illustrated rares and so on. And anything that is not an art rare, illustrated rare, is essentially worthless to them. So it's just bulk cards that they plan to throw away because they don't really keep the cards. And some of them have ripped so many packs, they have accumulated thousands and tens of there are thousands of cards, literally thousands of cards that they're running out of space to store them at home. So they just want to almost give them away for free. I have actually received an offer like of one guy who told me that, oh, I'm actually want to give my cards away for free, and I didn't even take up the offer because I just felt bad about receiving cards for free. So yeah, you can easily buy all these janks and bulk from collectors, and it's actually collectors who make this box so cheap. So I think this is one of the cheapest way you can get into Pokemon playing Pokemon TCG gaming without like ripping packs yourself, because the packs itself is expensive, but the bulk and the janks, like the common cards that you actually need to play Pokemon, is actually quite cheap. Another issue is, how about if you want to build a competitive deck? Like you need the EX cards, right? Because in the current Pokemon meta, or even from a few years ago, the Mega Evolution EX cards are some of the strongest one. So if you have a particular Mega Evolution EX you're looking for, that is going to be a little bit more expensive, but still within like somewhat of a budget range. So example, let's say you want to build a Dragon Pult deck. So let's go for Dragon Pult EX, right? Let's search for it on Carousell. Okay, so this is expensive because it's SAR, but if you see, is this Japanese? Yeah, it's Japanese. So let's say Japanese is kind of cheap, right? For $1. Let's say you want to look for the English ones. So a Carousel seller selling this sleeve Dragon Ball EX for $5. And then what other cards do you need for a Dragon Ball deck? You need the Derpy and the Dreepies, right? Sorry, you need the Dreadlocks as well as the Derpies, which are the basic and the stage 1 Pokemon. You can easily find them by buying bulk cards from their respective generation. That means if you look at it, this is PRE. I can't really know. I'm not in the hobby long enough to know exactly which card generation those cards come from, but you can easily Google them. Like you Google for maybe I get let's the Derpy Pokemon TCG. Yep. So these Derpy and Dreadlocks, and you can see which cards do they come from. Scarlet Violet Twilight Masquerade. Yeah, Scarlet Violet Prismatic Evolutions. Okay, so that means it's a Scarlet. So you want to look for janks from Scarlet Violet, either Prismatic Evolutions or Twilight Masquerade. And if you buy this box and janks, you're gonna get a lot of Derpies as well as Dreadlocks. So you have those cards. For earlier I mentioned I can buy box cards for as low as like $10 for 1,000 cards. And what else? So you will need other cards, for example, like you need what is it? The Dust Noir, right? Dust Noir. Yeah. So you need the Dust Noirs. You need the, what do you call it? The cards before it. Yeah. So these. So you need, this one, the essentials for Duskull, Dusclops, and Dust Noirs, right? So you can see somebody is selling all this pretty cheap. How you build a Dragon Pult deck? Non-EX cards for as low as 10 cents. Right, then the EX cards is only charging $2. Take all EX cards for $1 each. Yeah. So this guy is basically selling a Dragon Pult deck for cheap. So even if you want to build like competitive meta decks to enter into tournaments, it's not really expensive. I think you can spend as low as like for $10, and you can easily get, like, you don't need a lot of Dragon Pult EX in your deck, like maybe 2 Dragon Pult EX. So this guy is selling for $1 to $2 each. So if you take his whole deck, I think it's as low as probably $10 for his whole deck, things like that. And you can just add on with your own trainer cards that you get from the bulk. You add on with your energy cards are basically free. So if you buy a bunch of bulk, they basically should come with a lot of energy cards. So you don't need a lot of energy cards in competitive decks anyway. Like you only need about 10 energy cards for competitive decks. So yeah. So I think my point being is that the more I'm only been in the Pokemon TCG for a single month, and I really don't support the sentiment that Pokemon TCG is expensive, that collectors are ruining the hobby. Because my wife started out in collecting cards, and I actually got interested into playing because I saw her collecting the cards, and I was like, oh, wifey, you have a bunch of bulk cards that you don't want anyway, right? Can I just use them to play? So obviously she was okay. So she gave me all the dupes and the bulk cards that she doesn't want. And that was how I actually got started, by getting free cards from her. And the more I got into the game, the more I wanted to be competitive. And I was looking at all these meta decks. I was looking through things like live streams of tournaments and so on. They were playing like Dragon Pole, they were playing Charizard decks, they were playing Gardevoir EX decks, and all those meta decks. I was like, wow, is it really expensive to build all this? And the more I search around on Carousell, the more I think that it is actually possible to build a pretty cheap deck that is very strong and very competitive. Okay, so that's about it for this video. So yeah, Pokemon TCG, if you are getting into playing the Pokemon TCG, it's not expensive at all. You just have to know where to look. My best advice is go through Carousell. You can even go through Shopee. You can go through buy League Battle decks and so on. Those are the great place to start. Okay, and we'll see you guys in the next video.